Okay, now.
I'm the top dog in the league, homie.
Yeah.
Let's speak on it. The stretch for anybody to reach on me.
Don't reach.
Just breathe on it. Don't tell them. They gotta know it's me
They know
on it.
it.
Won't kick it on me and go for 3
know
on
it.
you. You couldn't guard me with the cleanest armor.
know.
I got it covered.
Yeah.
These corners.
Yeah.
I'm the top dog in the league, homie.
That me.
Let's speak on it. This is stretch for anybody to reach on me.
Don't reach.
Just breathe on it. Don't tell them. They gotta know it's me on
now.
it. We don't kick it on and go for 3 on
now.
you. You couldn't guard me with the cleanest armor.
Yeah.
I got it covered.
Yeah.
These corner
Yeah.
like yeah.
Yeah.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of D's Corner, where we got you covered on all your NFL news, updates, everything in between, from the draft, the combine, the season, the playoffs, Super Bowl, everything. I'm your host, D. Do me a favor, like, share, subscribe. It will do me a lot of good, and I truly appreciate it. On this video, man, we're going to talk about some upcoming trades that could take place, that could happen, some teams that should call, and what makes sense and what doesn't make sense. Obviously, we won't see the Myles Garrett in this episode. I feel like he should be traded if the Browns were actually trying to do right by him as a player. He's done a lot being with Cleveland. He's already going to the Hall of Fame. He wants to win, and he's telling Cleveland, hey, I can't do it here. Especially with the situation with Deshaun Watson. He tore his Achilles again. It's just not looking well for the Cleveland Browns. Trading Myles Garrett would suck for the fan base and everything, but for the team itself, you'll be able to you'll be able to get so many picks, it would be ridiculous. Because we've never seen a player like him just get traded. Even though he's a little bit older, he's still wreaking havoc left and right. And if you would have put him on a team, man, like the Raiders, the Commanders is a team that he said he would be interested in joining. The Eagles get him, that would be crazy. But the Browns are stuck. They're saying that they're not going to trade him. At least that's the news coming out of the combine, which starts today. Be looking out for after the post-combine mock draft. I'm going to get mock draft Mondays kicked back up. I may even do some mock-to-mocks where I look at other mock drafts. We'll see how everything with that goes. This video here, we're just going to jump into it now, guys. It is, I think it's 5 players who could possibly be traded. Some of these players, the teams have already said that they can go out and see what their value is on the market. This is right before the combine, right before free agency starts. First up, we're going to talk. We got Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford is a hell of a quarterback. He's still a top 10 quarterback. You have the teams who should call, my opinion, I'll go team by team. The New York Jets. The New York Jets, I don't believe that it's going to take a first-round pick to get a 37-year-old Matthew Stafford. I believe the Rams honestly don't want to trade him. Sean McVay has come out and said that he was not against it, but they offered one thing, Matt wants another thing. And if Matthew is gone, they said that they're good with the rock with Jimmy Garoppolo. So we'll see how that works. I just think Sean McVay believes in what he does as a coach. But this team is a bona fide young upcoming defense. You have Puka Nacua. There's already talks of trading or releasing. I believe he'll be released. Cooper Kupp. So these two could somewhat be a package deal on wherever it is that they're going. The New York Jets, I believe, would be a good place for Matthew Stafford. Coming in with Aaron Glenn, you're getting out of the Aaron Rodgers debacle. You still have Garrett Wilson, who is a hell of a wide receiver. You could bring in Cooper Kupp, who is a solid number 2 slot 3 receiver at this stage in his career. You wouldn't have to give up a first round. You wouldn't have to give up your first round pick. You should still be able to make do what needs to be done on this defense. You said it years ago, you're a quarterback away, but they've beefed up the offensive line to a degree. You still have some pieces there. If you get Matthew Stafford, Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, go out and get you Tyler Warren out of Penn State. You got you a solid offense now to go with that defense, and I believe Aaron Glenn and Steve Wilkes will have this defense cooking. The Las Vegas Raiders. It's been reported, and then denied that Tom Brady has spoken with Matthew Stafford about coming to the Raiders. This to me makes the most sense, which is why this is my prediction. I honestly believe that he'll stay in LA with the Rams. But if he is traded, I think the one that makes the most sense to me would be um, the Raiders, the Vikings, or the Colts. But I'll touch on those in a second. The Raiders, they're going to need a quarterback. Again, they're picking later in the draft. They're not going to be able to get one of the top two guys in Shador or Cam without trading up. If you go ahead and you get you a Matthew Stafford and you give up a second round pick this year, maybe a second round pick next year, could get it. It has been reported that the Rams are trying to jack up the prices, especially on some of these teams that are picking in the top half of the draft. But I think the Raiders would be a good space. He still would stay out west where it's warmer and stuff. He hasn't in his entire career. He's always played indoors. So going against Kansas City, going against Denver, going against the Chargers, that is a tough division. Three of the teams were in the playoffs except the Raiders. The Chiefs, we know what they are, what they're capable of, but Matthew Stafford is a hell of a thrower of the football. You already have a nice, solid tight end. You have some pieces there, some tools there. I believe this one would make the most sense. Pete Carroll, you have a hell of a head coach who's a builder. He's going to get a defense out there. He's going to get a team. He's going to get a physical team. Just needs a quarterback. Now, will he want to go with Russell Wilson? Anything like that? We'll see. The issue here is you do have to trade for Matthew Stafford, and then you will have to, in turn, re-sign him as well. The Pittsburgh Steelers is one that a lot of people are picking or hoping, I guess, is to say where Matthew Stafford goes. I don't like Pittsburgh foreign. Honestly, it's a tough division. It's outside. You only have George Pickens. It would take a lot for him to get going. Now, we know Tomlin is going to win. You know you're going to have a good opportunity to be in the playoffs when you are under that steel curtain defense. But they're going to have a lot of holes as well. Offensive line, you don't know if they're going to re-sign their running backs. George Pickens is the only offensive threat. I do not like the Steelers for Matthew Stafford, but if I'm the Steelers, I'm sure as hell giving them a call. The Indianapolis Colts, me as a Colts fan, I actually like this pick. We have a winnable division. You have a solid offensive line, solid running, a rushing attack. You have some pretty damn good weapons when you have A.D. Mitchell, Michael Pittman, Alec Pierce. Will need a tight end. You have Jonathan Taylor in the backfield. You have a solid offense. Also playing indoors majority of the season. I like the Colts for Matthew Stafford. Not sure that the situation calls for it with the offensive scheme that we run, but Shane Steichen was able to switch up his offense in turns when Joe Flacco took over for Anthony Richardson. Chris Ballard's already said there's going to be competition. If you get Matthew Stafford, there's no competition. Anthony Richardson is now on the bench, or he becomes trade bait. We'll see how that goes. I do not believe Matthew Stafford will end up in Indianapolis, but I would love it if he did. Minnesota Vikings, I like the Minnesota Vikings as well for Matthew Stafford. They have a hell of a team, hell of a culture, hell of a coach. If I'm not mistaken, this is the same coach who was Matthew Stafford's offensive coordinator when they won the Super Bowl. Brian Flores is running that defense phenomenally. You do have a few older players, some holes here, some holes there, but you do have a very, very solid offense. The only issue with the Minnesota Vikings is what would you do with J.J. McCarthy? He was coming along last year in preseason before he got injured. Sam Darnold played his tail off. So we'll have to see where that goes. And the New York Giants. The New York Giants are on this list because Matthew Stafford's brother-in-law is now coaching there. I don't think that Matthew would want to go back across the country and then play in New York, going up against the Philadelphia Eagles and how prolific that team looked. The Commanders are up and coming. This Bills team. I mean, this Giants team run by Brian Daboll. You could now, if you go get Matthew Stafford, you could take Travis Hunter at 3. Now you have Travis, you have Malik Neighbors, you get you a running back. But this offensive line has been terrible over the years, and they have dumped picks and resources into this offensive line. And for some reason, it just has not worked out. Next up, we have Jonathan Allen, who's been told that he can find trade suitors if that's what he would like to do. It's kind of sucks for him. He's been with the Commanders his entire career, rarely won. If I'm not mistaken, he got a little bit banged up this year, was still able to come back and make it to his first, I want to say his first time being in the playoffs since being in the NFL. He was coming from the Nick Saban era of Alabama, where he was a winner through and through. So you got to believe that he wants to win. Teams that I think who should call: the LA Chargers. We know what Harbaugh wants to do. We know what he did when he was with San Francisco. He consistently has a nasty defensive front. It's possible that they're going to come up off Khalil Mack as well as Joey Bosa this year, this offseason. So you're going to have to need to replenish there. Starting in the trenches with a player like Jonathan Allen would be a really massive move. He's got 1 year left on his contract. Not sure if he's going to want to re-sign, how bad he's going to break the bank. That could hinder some things up there. So we'll see how it goes. The Pittsburgh Steelers are another team. You have Cam Hayward, who's getting older, a little bit long in the tooth, but pairing him with Jonathan Allen, TJ Watt, Patrick Queen, Minkah Fitzpatrick, Joey Porter Jr. Now we're cooking. Now you're cooking on that defense. Then you can see what you can pull, plug and play there on the offensive side of the ball. The Green Bay Packers are another team. You'll see a player here for Green Bay who will be, traded. There's a few that could be traded. Could you do a player for player swap? Jonathan Allen, Quay Walker, or Jonathan Allen for Quay Walker and some picks, Jonathan Allen for Jair Alexander. You can see it'd be nice to pair Jair Alexander with Marshawn Lattimore. But my pick and my prediction for Jonathan Allen is going to be the San Francisco 49ers. We're pretty much sure that they're going to release Javon Hargrove. They need defensive front. They have Nicky Bosa. Once you had Nicky Bosa, DeForest Buckner, Eric Armstead, Justin Smith, they had a solid defensive front. You are want to go and get more and get back to the roots of what you are. It's possibility that they could lose Greenlaw as well. So you're going to want to try to get another big name on that defense to help free up Fred Warner and allow him to play sideline to sideline. Harold Landry III is another one. He has just been granted permission to seek a trade as well. Teams that I think should call: the Commanders. The Commanders need edge help. We've already discussed them talking about possibly getting Myles Garrett. The Philadelphia Eagles, it seems like they can never get enough edge players. Harold Landry, who can play as a 4-3 defensive end or 3-4 outside linebacker. He's versed. He can play with his hand in the dirt. He can stand up. He can rush. He can do similar. He can do flat drops, short drops. The ticker here for the Eagles, you could probably do a player-for-player swap with Bryce Huff. Bryce Huff, they signed from the Jets. Didn't do very much anything this past season with the Eagles, but he did win a Super Bowl. He got paid. Could you swap player for player there? I could see that being a good place for Harold Landry. The Atlanta Falcons are another team. Not sure if they're going to be able to re-sign Matthew Judon, but Raheem Morris is a defensive guy. Getting him a versatile player like this who can get after the quarterback definitely helps your back end, and that's a big need for the Atlanta Falcons. As well as the Seattle Seahawks. We know Mike McDaniel from his time as a defensive coordinator with the Baltimore Ravens. He wants to get after the quarterback. They need more edge players. Again, you cannot have enough. We've seen that with Philadelphia being able to get home with 4 and a rotation of guys that they were able to run in and out. Harold Landry would be a great pickup as well for the Seattle Seahawks. Also, he would be a beautiful addition to the Detroit Lions. Playing opposite of Aiden Hutchinson, you also still have Zadarius Smith as well. This would be an opportunity for you to get back into the flow of things, get back to your defense. Your defensive front is going to help your back end on defense. We know that they have put resources there. I like Harold Landry in Detroit as well. But the most common sense pick to me would be the New England Patriots, who now have Mike Vrabel as their coach. He's the coach that drafted Harold to the Tennessee Titans years ago. rekindling, bringing them back, uh, matching them back together with Vrabel. He's going to know the defense. He's going to know what he wants to do. And I believe a fourth or fifth pick will be able to get Harold Landry, and I believe his destination will be in New England. Deebo Samuel is another one. There was possibility of him being traded last year, but he's definitely going to be traded this year or released due to his salary, his injuries. There are a few teams that make sense to Deebo, but all these teams, in my opinion, should be reaching out to see, because Deebo is one hell of a football player. The Washington Commanders, having him play second fiddle to Terry McLaurin would be a nice pickup. You would still have Zach Ertz there. I believe he wants to resign. He wants to continue playing. Jaden Daniels, who is phenomenal and has played great. He actually seemed to be the only one who was locked in and prepared for the playoff game. Giving them a player like Deebo coupled with Terry McLaurin gives you an opportunity to continue to build around Jaden and utilize that rookie deal. You can dump as many resources as needed into your defense while allowing your young defense, while allowing your offense to be made up of veteran players around a young quarterback who plays and thrives like a vet. Another team is the Tennessee Titans. Tennessee just needs playmakers. They need a roster reset. It seems like they've been in a roster resetting era for a while now. Will Levis, are they going to go quarterback at number one? It's been reported that they don't know what they're going to do. It's been reported that they would even to entertain trades. Not sure, but Deebo next to Calvin Ridley, get them a quarterback. Tony Pollard in the backfield, solid offensive line. Nice tight end. This would be the making, and this is a winnable division because this would be a making of a decent offense. Still need to get that trigger puller, though. The New York Giants is another team. I think Brian Daboll would just be able to do a ton of different things with Deebo, getting him back to handoffs as well, being the Deebo that he was a few years ago in San Francisco. I don't think he'll end up in New York, but I do like what Brian Daboll would be able to do with him. The Pittsburgh Steelers just said that they only have one offensive weapon with George Pickens. You're going to need another one. Deebo Samuel could make some sense, especially since you are going to possibly lose Jaylen Warren as well as Najee Harris, depending on if you re-sign them or not. The Kansas City Chiefs are another team that I just think they're going to want to try to consistently add players. Travis Kelce is getting older. Rashee Rice is injured, and he could possibly be suspended some portion of the season this year for off-field things that he's done before. But I like the Houston Texans bringing in Deebo Samuel. He was there with DeMeco Ryan when DeMeco Ryan was a defensive coordinator with the 49ers. I think DeMeco knows the intensity, the mindset, and the style of play that he plays. He wouldn't be asked to be the number one. He would come in and be a glorified number two. They still have Joe Mixon run the ball. You got Nico Collins. You have Dalton Schultz at tight end. This will allow you to, in the draft, to focus on building and protecting C.J. Stroud, but they're going to have to get as much as they can out of that rookie, out of Stroud's rookie deal. So I think the Houston Texans would be a perfect fit for Deebo Samuel. I think he would get there, but I don't think he'll be traded. I think he will end up being released as well. Lastly, we have Jair Alexander, who's been the same thing. He's been told he can seek a trade. The team is, from reports that I've read and seen, the team is actively trying to send him out. He has had some issues. He went out as a captain in his home state and wasn't supposed to. So he has issues, but at the end of the day, this guy can ball, he can cover, and he's one of the top. He's a top 10 corner easily. Teams that should call the Commanders, pairing him with Marshawn Lattimore gives you two solid corners. You have to go up against that dynamic machine in Philly. You have to go up against CeeDee Lamb. You have to go up against Malik Neighbors, and the more cover guys you have, the better you are. Same thing with the Atlanta Falcons. Pairing him with A.J. Terrell will give you two nice, young, solid corners, physical cover guys who you can now manipulate and play chess with the rest of your defensive players. The Denver Broncos are a team that maybe an outlier team, but I just think that pairing him with Pat Surtain, you have Riley Moss who could slide in the slot, and you could play him somewhat like the Eagles play Cooper DeJean. this would be a hell of a trade, because I don't think that they would get anything more than maybe a 3rd or 4th round pick, depending on the contract situation. Same thing with the Indianapolis Colts. Our secondary is, you need help at corner. Lou Adaromo is now our defensive coordinator. He's going to come in. He's going to want to play some man. He's going to want to blitz. He's going to get some zone. Jair Alexander is a player who can follow your number 1 wide receiver. He can also play in the slot. He can play off, aggressive at tackling, but he's a smart, instinctive football player, which is why I think the Jacksonville Jaguars will truly be the prediction for him. I think the Jacksonville should make the trade for him. Tyson Campbell is really the only corner that they truly have. They need to get some more bodies in that secondary. I think Jacksonville does make the trade for Jair Alexander, but another team that I think would be good would be the Las Vegas Raiders as well. Going up against those quarterbacks, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, Bo Nix. Now you're going to need some guys who can cover. Jair Alexander would come in and instantly be your number 1 corner. So I do like him there as well. But guys, hey, I appreciate it, man. Thank you for sticking with me throughout the video. I've had a lot of nonsense going on, getting the house in order, kids, all the stuff. Life's been life for me. But I appreciate you. I'm back. I will be more consistent. I don't have to get anything else renovated, so I should be able to just be consistent with it again. Every Monday, some form of mock draft. We got your mock draft Mondays. And I'm going to start my offseason builds, all 32 teams, what they should do in the draft, free agency, as well as moving forward, record predictions and all that stuff, getting right back into the season, guys. I want you guys to have a good day. Enjoy the combine. Come back here and get your combine results, your winners, your losers. Again, like, share, subscribe. We got you covered here at D's Corner. I'm out. Appreciate it.
Got it under control, babe. You don't want smoke, all you see is the same. LB tapping, keys and making waves, ayy.
Step back, keep your distance. Ain't no telling what I just may do. I've been vibing, minding my business. Throw one up if you can relate to. Said if I ain't got it, I make do. Can't be stuck waiting on a breakthrough. And I don't need everybody praying for me. Ain't no telling who you niggas pray to.